If a person could only choose one TV show in their lifetime, Game of Thrones would be the top choice. If you haven't seen it yet, and you're worried it's too long and complicated, you'll really miss out. Starting from this episode, I'll provide a comprehensive analysis of Game of Thrones based on the original novels. It will cover all main storylines and the world's development, each character's family, background, their motivations and logic, the hatred and history between families, and the plots omitted from the show. Before we start, a friendly reminder. All my explanations in this and future episodes, you don't need to force yourself to memorize. Even if you have trouble recognizing characters, don't worry, just watch without overthinking. As the story progresses, I'll repeatedly mention character information and expand on their backgrounds at the right times. So just stick with it for 2 episodes, and you'll effortlessly experience the magic of this masterpiece. The story takes place on a continent called Westeros. It was once divided into 7 kingdoms, but until 300 years ago, the Targaryens, with their 3-headed dragon sigil, unified the world. Thus began the era of the Targaryen dynasty. The 7 great lords swore allegiance to one king. Each lord represented a family with a history of over 1,000 years. Their lands had lesser families loyal to them, making society seem simple. However, the Targaryen dynasty was like China's Ming dynasty, glorious on the surface, but internally it was fraught with crises. Finally, the dynasty fell to a nearly mad last king. Westeros has distinct seasons, each lasting for several years, depending on the circumstances. Now, at the end of autumn in the Northern Kingdom, House Stark. The current lord is Eddard Stark. Their sigil is a direwolf, motto Winter is Coming, based in Winterfell. 凛冬将年具体称. As the Starks of House Wolf, they're the most important family in this story, bar none. Also, there's House Arryn controlling the Vale, with their castle built on a mountain. Their family emblem features an eagle soaring, also known as the Eagle House. House Tully of the Riverlands has a silver trout emblem, known as the Fisherfolk. The Greyjoys of the Iron Islands are good swimmers, unbeatable in naval battles, but cowards in land battles. Their emblem is a sea monster that looks like a squid, hence the Squid House. To the west, House Lannister holds the hard rock of Casterly, with strong military and economic power. Their emblem is a lion, hence the Lion House. Their family motto is, "Hear me roar," but their more famous motto is, "Lannisters always pay their debts." Just from this, you can tell they love and hate clearly. Not a family to mess with. House Lannister is also ranked as the 2nd most important family in this show. Second, there's House Tyrell of the Fertile Reach, with a golden rose emblem. Known as the Rose House, their fertile land obviously means they're rich and love building gardens. Besides, and there's the Baratheon family from the Stormlands, also known as the Stag House. Their sigil is a stag wearing a crown, showing their ambition. Just decades ago, the Stags led the rebellion, wiping out the ruling Targaryen family completely. This Targaryen family could ride 3 dragons, so they were also called the Dragon House. The famous Mother of Dragons is the daughter of the last crowned king of the Targaryen family. Currently, the eldest of the 3 Stag brothers, Robert, holds power in the Red Castle of King's Landing, and so on. There are other families we'll get to later. Let's slowly unfold the details. Now back to the Stark family's Ned. Here we affectionately call him Dad Wolf. Beyond the north, in the lands beyond the wall, a legion of Night's Watch guards the Great Wall, made of ice and magic. They vow to remain neutral, not getting involved in any wars or power struggles in the mainland. The Night's Watch's goal is only one: to guard the wall, preventing invasions by wildlings from beyond the wall. However, one day, a pair of Night's Watch rangers on patrol found something unusual. Before them, several wildlings were torn apart. Bodies laid out in the wilderness formed a strange symbol. A few people were discussing the sudden appearance of a zombie-like warrior. He was the terrifying creature that had disappeared thousands of years ago. White Walkers killed everyone but let one go. It was like a declaration. The Night's Watch deserter didn't return to base, just ran away. He was captured by the cavalry of House Stark and swore to become a Night's Watch, just like taking holy vows to death, keeping promises, absolutely cannot be broken. However, the deserter told Ned about the White Walkers. He couldn't believe it. House Stark has always respected vows. Honor above all, or should we just take his head back? On the way, they happened upon a dead mother wolf, killed by a deer, with 5 newborn pups beside her. Since Lord Stark had 5 children, Jon Snow felt it was fate, meaning each child would raise one, only to discover there was one more pup a little further away. Seems out of place with the other 5. This one was naturally left for Shaelo herself. Turns out Shaelo is the wolf dad's illegitimate son, meaning in that era when birth status was especially important. I mean, for such an ancient and prestigious family, he doesn't even count as a secondary son, since his mom had no status, so he doesn't deserve the wolf dad's last name. Don't look at Jon Shaelo's awkward face. His birth is humble. She's one of the absolute main characters of this show, even in existence that completely surpasses other characters. On the other side, the royal castle of King's Landing. The Red Castle got its name from being built with red bricks. Its 7 huge towers symbolize the submission of the former 7 kingdoms. But at this time, a memorial ceremony is being held inside the Red Castle. Turns out, as the head of the King's Council, the second in command of the kingdom who manages state affairs, Old Ailing suddenly died of illness. The name sounds familiar. This old palm reader. He's the head of House Arryn from the Vale. They share quite a history. Ned and the current king, Robert, grew up with him. They're like father and son. So King Robert wrote to him, bringing a large retinue to King's Landing to visit his good brother, the wolf. Of course, there seems to be important business to discuss in person. A month later, the king's procession arrived grandly. The wolf grew up with the king. They rebelled together to seize power, and the wolf helped his brother ascend to the throne. With no desire for the crown himself, friends since childhood who've been through life and death together. So the wolf's eldest daughter, Sansa, was betrothed to Robert's heir to the throne, which would pass to both their families. They first went to the September of Baelor in King's Landing. This sept is near the castle's foundation. They say it's bigger than the entire city of Linton. So in the Stark family tomb, the older ancestors are buried deeper. And Robert came to honor Lyanna at the Tower of Joy. We'll talk about that story later. After seeing the statues, Robert spoke up. His main purpose this visit was to ask Father to go to King's Landing and become his new hand of the king. But Father had no desire for power. He just wanted to focus on running the North well. He just wanted to be with his family. And who came with the king? Also the Queen, Cersei Lannister, the Kingsguard, Jaime Lannister, and the one nicknamed the Kingslayer. As you can tell from the names, they're all Lannisters. That is, the 3 Lannister siblings. When they took their vows, their own father, the Old Lion, Lord Tywin Lannister, led the troops. The first to enter the Red Keep was his second son, the 17-year-old Jaime. He was by the king's side, serving as a guard when the king was assassinated. Therefore, Jaime's also called the Kingslayer after Robert, and the Wolf Dad's army stormed King's Landing and took the throne. On his adoptive father Lord Hightower's advice, Robert and the Old Lion's daughter Cersei settled things. They split the benefits. Back to now, at night, everyone's feasting and drinking in the castle. Outside, Jon Snow, feeling like he doesn't belong, the bastard is all alone with his thoughts, wondering if he should join the Night's Watch at the Wall. But Uncle Benjen made him promise, until death.
You don't understand what you'd be giving up. We have no families. None of us will ever father sons.
I don't care about that.
注意啊，治
Until death. This phrase hints at a major turning point ahead. Uncle Benjen is the Wolf Dad's real brother, presenting the Night's Watch commander, currently the chief ranger of the Night's Watch. He's very popular, sang songs, danced late at night while the wolves slept. The loyal old maester knocked on the door. It was a secret message from Aunt Cat, the sister of Lord Stark's wife. Her full name is Catelyn, Lady Stark's daughter. That's right, Aunt Cat. His sister is Lisa, the widow of the late hand of the king who sent the letter. She claims King Robb has returned to his lands. And in her letter, she implied that Lord Stark's death wasn't just about honor, but was orchestrated by the Lannisters. King Robb has returned to his lands.
At the capital, she says Jon Arryn was murdered by the Lannisters. She says the king is in danger.
Aunt Cat, the sisters are daughters of House Tully of the Riverlands. To strengthen their lands, they naturally needed to marry into powerful neighboring families to secure their position, right? At these words, the couple grew tense. Could it be that the Lannisters are trying to seize power? If that's the case, as a close brother like Wolfdad, he wouldn't just stand by and watch. Now he's the only one who can protect the king.
If this news is true, and the Lannisters conspire against the throne, who but you can protect the king?
In the novel, it's mentioned that they have some blood relation with the dragon family. It's just a distant relation. His parents died at sea when he was young, leaving the 3 Robert brothers. Their Lew family is relatively new among all families, lacking deep roots. If it weren't for the protection of the Wolfdad and Old Ai Lin families, he might not have been able to keep the throne. So no king can stay stable without powerful family support behind them. Lester's teacher also gave his daughter to him in marriage, and let his son, the Kingslayer, serve him. As a royal guard, the Sher family surrounded him. Although Robert had 2 brothers, they were unreliable. Plus, with the death of Old Ai Ling, Wolfdad's words became particularly fitting. On the other side of the Westeros Strait, the city of Pentos on another continent, a silver-haired girl is looking at us sadly. She's the orphan of the last Mad King who was overthrown, Daenerys Targaryen. She's the Targaryen queen who will get 3 dragons, Stormborn of House Targaryen, queen of the Undulls and the Rhoynar, rightful heir to the Iron Throne, protector of the 7 kingdoms, the mother of dragons, the Khaleesi of the Great Grass Sea, the breaker of chains, the mother of dragons, the queen of Meereen, the princess of Dragonstone, the silver-haired queen. I'm not making this up. Later on, she often introduces herself like this to people, which makes things really awkward. When she was still in her mother's womb, she and her older brother were rescued. After wandering around, they settled here. Daenerys' older brother was killed when he fought Robert in a duel. So her brother felt he had the responsibility and duty to inherit the throne, not just to get power to fight back. Her brother traded his pretty sister for an army.
We go home with an army, with Khal Drogo's army. I would let his whole tribe fuck you. All 40,000 men and their horses too, if that's what it took.
And the family they were staying with was the governor of Pentos, who also wanted to curry favor with the Dothraki to avoid being attacked. So they arranged the marriage, traded Daenerys to the savage horse lord, Khal Drogo.
When Dothraki are defeated in combat, they cut off their braid so the whole world can see their shame. Khal Drogo has never been defeated.
Luckily, Daenerys is pretty hot. Even when she's not smiling, she's still gorgeous, and the Khal loves it. The deal's sealed. These horse folks love killing and looting. The Khal's the boss because he never loses. His hair's way longer than anyone else's. Means he's never lost a fight. The strongest warrior in the whole tribe. One day, to celebrate the wedding, a wandering knight shows up, presents a precious historical item, and decides to pledge his loyalty to Daenerys. He's from the Mormont family of Bear Island, the Great Bear. Before Daenerys claims he once served your father, the king, Daenerys doesn't think much of it, and agrees to the local lord's request. To please the Khal, he gives 3 petrified dragon eggs. The Dragon Mom's family symbol is a 3-headed dragon, right? That's basically a Mark II, but they can't hatch anymore. But hey, since she's called the Dragon Mom, she must have her chances. These 3 dragon eggs will totally change her fate. The simple wedding ceremony was over, no bride price, no 3 gold jewelry. You can ask for a house of any size, just name the square footage. They've got tons of tents to set up, and you can pick any spot. That night, the Khan is going to force the marriage through. Near the eastern city, the king and the wolf dad organized a group to go out of the city for some fresh air and hunting. They set off in a big group. The wolf dad has 5 kids, right? The fourth one, Bulin, is always restless and loves climbing walls. Not sure if he played too much Assassin's Creed, but while the group was far away, he went to climb the empty watchtower outside again. But who would have thought he'd walk into an awkward situation?
Stop!
This part is from the book 2. The Queen of Thorns and the Kingslayer are actually twins. Good-looking people are naturally attracted to each other. Growing up together, they accidentally saw animals mating and tried to imitate them. But it got out of hand, and the queen was married to King Robert. Meanwhile, her brother, the Kingslayer, stayed by her side. He gave up his claim to the throne, choosing to become a member of the Kingsguard. The Kingsguard isn't just any position. You have to be a tournament champion, sworn to never hold land, marry, or father children. They only serve the monarch until death. Like the Night's Watch, it's like taking a holy vow. So their love was real. But they had to keep it secret, and to silence anyone who knew, they had to make Bran an enemy of the faith.
He saw us.
It's all right, it's all right, it's all right. The things I do for love.
They thought he fell and died from the iron spike. But someone found him and brought him back to the city for treatment. He didn't die. This made the queen and the Kingslayer deeply uneasy, so they rushed to check on him.
I lost my first boy. Little black-haired beauty. He was a fighter too. Tried to beat the fever.
After much thought, Jon Snow decided to become a Night's Watch. Before leaving, he asked a blacksmith to forge a short sword, naming it for Arya, the youngest daughter of Lord Eddard Stark. She is Ned's daughter and the youngest, so people call her Arya. Although Arya comes from a noble family, she has no ladylike qualities at all, and instead loves to play with swords and spears. Jon said goodbye to her like a close sibling, then looked at the unconscious young Bran, but was driven away by a few harsh words.
When you're better.
I want you to leave.
There was nothing he could do. What good expression could she have toward her husband's bastard? However, Jon's true parentage cannot be revealed yet. It's still a huge secret. The secret can't be known by anyone. When it's revealed, it will also be the time when the entire continent of Westeros reorganizes its power. Speaking of which, some people will definitely send spoilers in the comments. But unfortunately, even if spoiled, it's just speculation from the TV series. The author George Martin hasn't finished the ending yet. Jon Snow's parentage is still uncertain, so the wolf dad and the king are resting under the tree, right? Robert secretly passed a secret note. Turns out his spies found the exiled Princess Daenerys. She's marrying the Dothraki leader. She's probably planning a counterattack. Unless the Targaryens are wiped out, his throne is never safe. So he suggests hiring an assassin.
This Khal Drogo. It said he has 100,000 men in his hold.
Even 1,000,000 Dothraki are no threat to the realm. As long as they remain on the other side of the narrow sea. They have no ships, Robert. And if by chance he does, we'll throw him back into the sea.
The wolf dad is kind. What threat could a little girl pose to his position? You might not know the biggest enemy is probably by your side. Brother Robb guards the unconscious Bran. Hasn't slept properly for a month. That night, the warehouse catches fire. Everyone rushes to put it out. But who knew an assassin would come out of the room? Seems like he's targeting little Bran. He desperately grabs the blade. Luckily, Bran's illness helps. It seems someone doesn't want Bran alive. Cat realizes Bran must have seen something. Something he shouldn't have seen. That's why he's being targeted. So I said the test takers, can you blur out the corpses when you're done with them? Bad idea letting the kids see that. Next day, Cat Lord showed up at the crime scene, and he actually found a blonde hair.
I don't think Bran fell from that tower. I think he was thrown.
So he suspected the Lannisters. They're all blonde. Plus the assassin's dagger. Super rare. Valyrian steel with dragon bone. Only royal quality. Cat Lady took her big boy. And some trusted folks like Maester Robb to talk it over. This can't get out. Sent her big boy to Lindong City. He went to the capital with his instructor to find an old stone who knows everything, to help track down the criminal. Turns out it was Littlefinger, the finance minister. His family's land was on a tiny, rocky bit of the smallest peninsula. His family was the weakest of all noble houses, so he wasn't tall or strong, but that made him smarter and more ambitious. He was always watching, listening everywhere, had his own spy network, slowly climbed to his current position. Littlefinger's family has always had a good relationship with the Tullis, Cat's maternal family, so they sent Littlefinger to be raised there. Unexpectedly, the skinny Littlefinger fell deeply in love with the elegant and mature Cat, the eldest daughter of House Tully. But Cat only saw him as a younger brother, nothing more. But this time, she really needed to ask for help from this little brother. In King's Landing, both House Stark and Prince Joffrey knew about the proposed marriage alliance. This time, she was just going for a walk to build some rapport. Who would have thought she'd run into Arya practicing sword fighting with a butcher's son? Joffrey, being spoiled and raised with a sense of entitlement, acted recklessly. He took this chance to show off. Pick your word for just boy.
Well, let's see how good you are.
It's not a sword, my prince. It's only a stick.
And you're not a knight.
Stop it!
Arya, stay out of this.
I won't hurt him.
He said something provocative. This led to him scratching the other boy's face. Arya couldn't stand it and stepped in to help. In the end, with the help of a direwolf, he bit Joffrey.
Got you, you little cunt!
Arya!
Nymeria!
Arya!
Nymeria!
No. No. Please don't.
Arya, leave him alone!
But how could such an arrogant and high-handed prince swallow this insult, right? The Starks were also emotionally affected. After returning, they immediately went to Cersei to capture the culprit. Not only that, Joffrey also made up a story about being an innocent victim, leading to a conflict between Arya and him at the scene. The king and the wolf father had to call Sansa to testify, but Sansa actually lied and claimed she saw nothing. Oh dear. They unconditionally believed their son. Now that he's injured, it's your fault no matter what. Demand severe punishment for the culprit. But the king and the wolf father are close friends. Kids fighting, no need to make such a big deal out of it, right? Thinking about it, they let it go.
I want her punished.
What would you have me do? Whip her through the streets? Damn it, children fight. It's over.
However, Cersei pushed hard, refusing to punish the child. At least they should kill the wolf.
What of the direwolf?
We found no trace of the direwolf, Your Grace.
No. So be it.
We have another wolf.
As you will in the end, because Arya let her wolf escape. They had to kill Sansa's wolf to take the blame. Actually, many people would be extremely angry with Sansa at this point, but the casting might be a bit misleading. According to the novel, Sansa is only 13 years old. Meeting a 13-year-old girl, you really don't know what to do. When facing a big mess, it makes sense to want to escape. That's why she was later called Silly Sansa by everyone, to give the wolf a quick death. And not wanting the executioner to defile it, Father Chinso killed the innocent wolf. That's all for Game of Thrones. Seasons 1 to 2 episodes. You can already see, Cersei is no easy person to deal with. And in fact, many future conflicts will arise because of him. This character looks sinister and shrewd, but as you'll see later, besides being right about his sinister nature, everything else about him is wrong. Of course, there's also another extremely important core character. The one who didn't get to show his talent is Tyrion. And the future story will be even more exciting. Also, while watching this show, I found that although the plots connect, there's still a sense of jumping around. This is because the TV production cut costs by cutting some transitional scenes and combining some characters. For example, several people each did a few things, but these people had the same impact on the protagonist. So the writers and directors just combined these people into one character, having one person cause all the trouble and be done with it. The original fans would definitely start complaining. But for screen adaptation, it's actually a very reasonable and effective method. Why? Because every character in a movie or TV show needs a distinct personality. If you're gentle, I'm tough. If you're smart, there's no need for two similar characters. Since their personalities are alike, why not let him handle this alone? So if you've only finished the TV show, you've only seen the tip of the iceberg of Martin's book. It's like if his novel was the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and you only watched the TV show, you've basically just read a plot summary on Baidu Baiki. All the extra details are hidden in the books. So this series will heavily reference the novels besides the plot to make it completely understandable for the first time. Also, it will include character backgrounds, experiences, stories from the original, relationships, motivations, and so on, to fully capture the charm of the book. So everyone give a little red heart. Let's let other Douyin users have a taste too. Okay, Amadou, someone good at telling stories, condensing the essence of the miniseries isn't its original charm. If you think my story is pretty good, please leave a red heart and a follow. Let's meet again in the next story.